Hi everyone, it's Nicole and I'm here with another page for my December daily. Now for this page I decided to go with yellow and brown. Now when I started looking through my 6x6 paper pad, this is the spot where I went, ooh, I don't have a lot of those colors left in my pattern papers, in my 6x6. I actually only had this one, the first one that I cut apart. It was a 8x8 by Pink Paisley, I believe. And I had this one here that was from October Afternoon with their little triangles. And then the rest, I went into my stash. This is from Simple Stories. And it's a package that has a whole bunch of lined paper or grid paper. And it has several different colors. And I found this yellow. Then I have a spot in my craft room where I keep Christmas pattern papers. And I just went, and I don't have a big stack. It might be 2.5 to 3 inches thick. And it's still a lot of pattern papers, but when you think of the amount of pattern papers that I have in my scrap room, in comparison, I don't have a lot of Christmas pattern papers. And then I went into my collection packs, and I think I found 3 collections that were sort of dedicated to winter or Christmas. So I don't have a lot of pattern papers and embellishments that are dedicated to Christmas. And when I think about it, it kind of makes sense because even in my regular scrapbooking, it's not something that Christmas is not sort of an event or something that happens that I do 10 pages of. Most year I'll maybe make 1 or 2 pages, especially since the years where I do a December daily, because I find I document a lot of the day-to-day stuff, and then I only have to make pages of, let's say, the family photo that we try to take every year of all the kids. Now, I did have a cut apart sheet that I cut quite a few of die cuts, and I'm going to double mount them on some of the cards. I did also find these little wood frames, and I'm going to use a couple on this layout, plus I'm going to use a couple of wood veneer. And because I kind of made myself a kit, it's nice because I can just go through the kit every time I start a new layout or a new day, and then I find, different things, and I'm trying to use up a lot of the stuff that I kind of pulled to use during the December daily days. Another thing that I'm trying to make sure that I use is my 8.5 by 11 cardstock. I have a ton of 8.5 by 11 cardstock because I used to be a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I used to make a lot of cards. Like I used to make classes for cards, and ever since that, I'm no longer a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I don't make cards anymore. I had fun when I was making cards, but I never used them. They just sat there, and when we moved here to the new house, I had hundreds and hundreds of cards, and I know I could have given them away, but if you've moved before and you're in that zone when you're packing and there's just so much stuff, and they were kind of outdated too, like a lot of the cards were kind of older. Anyway, I just threw them all out. I was just, same thing with all my scraps. I just didn't want to move all the scraps, so when I moved in here, I didn't move the scraps. I started from scratch kind of thing. Another thing that I'm trying to pull and use with this December daily is some die cuts that I had put together during my Document December class. I think that class was in 2014, so that was quite a few years ago, and I still have a lot of embellishments. I think I had done 2 or 3 videos on making your own embellishments. So some of these embellishments are, or a lot of them are stamped. I think most of them are stamped, but some of them, I did on vellum. Some of them I used more than one piece of cardstock so that it makes it really thick, so that it looks like a piece of chipboard. And then the cover, or the sort of the enamel that I put on top, it's called the Tombow Mono Aqua glue. And if you use that glue on cardstock to glue, several layers of it, it becomes as hard as chipboard. And then you can put a layer of that on top of your embellishment, and it makes it look like it's kind of shiny. And some other ones, I use some glossy accents to make it look like enamel. And I just had a bunch of fun making a ton of embellishments. Now, I divided all those embellishments by colors. So I have envelopes that says brown, yellow, green, red, pink, and black. And now, as I'm choosing colors for my pages, I just have to pull out those envelopes and I have all those embellishments done. Now for this time around, I chose to mainly go yellow and with some accents of brown. And then the second page, so the page that will be facing this one, so day 8, will be mainly brown with some accents of yellow. So I like to play on that, using the same colors, but just changing it from side to side. And then it makes it so it coordinates, and then you're not using all the same color as far as embellishments. It's a great way to stretch out your supplies, but not only that, I think it's going to add a lot of interest to my album, so that I go from page to page and it's a different color. Now you can look at it a couple of ways. Some people choose a few colors and then they find that it makes their album more cohesive, like it all belongs together. But I love colors, so I love that after every 2 pages I change the colors. And I'm finding that it's easier for me because I'm using a lot of my scraps and leftovers from previous years. I haven't bought any December related supplies in I think about 3 years. I might have bought like maybe one 6x6 pattern paper pad and maybe a couple of die cuts packs from Peachy Cheap or something like that, when it was on sale. But to go and say, okay, I'm buying, a bunch of little collections so that I have it for December daily, I haven't done that in a few years. So I'm really using up the supplies that I have. But it also means that I don't have a ton. So by changing colors all the time, I'm making sure that I'm stretching my supplies. And I'm especially enjoying that I'm using those stamped embellishments that I made during that class. And, just on this layout, there's at least 4 or 5 little embellishments that I used on this layout. And that's good because I, spent a lot of time making those embellishments. So it's good that I am now using them. And it just goes to show is that scrapbooking supplies, yes, there's new stuff all the time, but really you can stamp something and leave it there for 5 years. And when you go to use it again, it's still cute, it's still relevant. And you can use it in your scrapbook without feeling like, oh, that's so yesterday. Because first of all, I find that things come again and again. Like for the longest time, you could hardly find any rub-ons. And then, I was using these rub-on roll-ons a few times because I was challenging myself to use some older stuff. And everybody was like, where did you get those? And I was like, I got those like 10 years ago. And within a year, that exact product was the rage again. Like everybody was making the rub-on on roll-ons, and everybody was loving it. And 10 years ago, that was the big thing, and then we didn't see it around forever. And that just reminded me of another thing that I'll have to go and check, because if I have some Christmassy ones, those rub-on roll-ons, I'll need to make sure to take those out and that I can use them in this December daily. So I'm just packing up the cards and I'm putting them in a little stack, and then I'm putting them with the page protector. And that's it. That's going to complete day 7. And I want to thank you so much for watching. Bye.